4.2 gives us the if statement. Now, this starts on page 156, and the if statement is the first and essentially the simplest of our decision-making structures. So how does if work, and what does if do? So the if statement gives us a way to enact an action based on the testing for a certain condition. So here in the text, I think it's page 156. Here we go. It's 156. We have, if it's cold outside, wear a coat. So if, is the keyword here, and it is worth noting that as a keyword, it is all lowercase. So if is our keyword here, and then inside of parentheses, we would have the statement it is that we are looking to evaluate. We're going to see that in just a second, so hold on. And the thing we're evaluating is it cold outside? Now, I just want to mention here that you as a developer need to give value to the idea of cold. So what is cold? Is it 40 degrees? That's up to you. Is it 30 degrees? That's up to you. Is it 20 degrees? That's up to you. 20 degrees, we're getting to like Canadian cold, and 40 degrees, I would say we are getting at Floridian cold. But that value has to be something that you can test. So, 0 degrees Fahrenheit is not the absence of temperature. It's just the absence of warmth. What do you do as a developer is the important thing here. So cold is not the same to everybody. You can ask my first grader and any of the parents that have seen me for the last 2 years on a 90-degree day in a knit hat, a hoodie, and shorts, or a 9-degree day in a knit hat, a hoodie, and shorts. They think that my temperature scale is broken, and they are absolutely positively correct. So the if statement gives us the opportunity to select based on something, temperature, cold, whatever that will mean, and based on that selection, do an action. So in this case, it is wear a coat. Depending on how you structure your code, you can also do multiple actions. You can see that on figure 4-3. So when it's cold, wear a coat, wear a hat, and wear gloves. So those are 3 actions based on that one result. So the if statement gives us our first way to make a selection, and it's based on whatever is going to go inside of those parentheses. Now, in the way of how does this look in our code, we can see here it is page. I'm going to hover over them right here for you. This is program 4-2, and it is on page 158. So we've got the idea of if average is greater than the high score. So what we're doing here is we're saying, if average is greater than the high score. So we're saying that your average is something that we can test against a previous high score. And each time one of these happens, we want to display a message. Congratulations, that's a high score is what we're going to do here. So if we look at the program 4-2, and again, this is on page 158. I hope I said 158 instead of 156 before. I have my if statement, and that's on line 22. So I have if, remember again, that is my reserved keyword. They are in lowercase letters. And then I have the parentheses there. So inside of the parentheses, I say average, which is our variable. It's something that I can test, and is less than high score. Again, this is a variable. It's something that I can test. They each have a numeric value, and a numeric value can use these relational operators to tell us true or false. If line number 22 is evaluated as true, line number 23 is enacted. If line number 22 is evaluated as false, line number 23 is not enacted. So you can see as part of my 2 program outputs there, in the first example, my average is 80 as the input, And 80 is not, in fact, greater than the high score. In the next example, my average is 100. 100 is greater than the high score. So in the case that we've entered 100, that statement, line number 22 in our code, is evaluated as true. So that means that line number 23 in our code is able to execute. So we do get the cout statement there for congratulations, that's a high score. So the statement if proceeds as follows. When C++ encounters that if, it says, okay, now we have to evaluate whatever is happening immediately following it in the parentheses. When that statement is evaluated, if it's evaluated as true, the following line, one line, is executed. If that statement is evaluated as false, the next line is completely ignored. Now, the next thing you should be asking yourself is, can I really only have one line that follows an if statement? That seems like it doesn't have quite enough complexity, and it turns out that you are right. That isn't quite enough complexity. So what we can do is, following an if statement, we can wrap everything in a set of braces so that we evaluate just a statement block that comes after the if statement as opposed to a single line. I was wrong. That's in the next part here of the chapter, and we'll see that in just a second. But for those of you, I know people like to start thinking ahead to the next big thing, and I'll tell you that is the next big thing.